Apparently, the billionaires spoke to Elon Musk and Trump, and South Africa will be getting StarLink, but they're going to be mending the BEE regulations. So let's just go. Yeah.
Watered down its black economic empowerment laws just to suit Elon Musk's StarLink. That's according to Communications Minister Soli Malatsi. He responded to criticism from members of Parliament today as he appeared before the Communications Portfolio Committee. The proposal was made public after President Cyril Ramaphosa's recent meeting with his US counterpart Donald Trump. In fact, those changes were published on the Friday, just the day after that crucial meeting in the US. The policy changes would allow communications companies, including StarLink, to bypass a requirement to sell 30% of their equity to local subsidiaries owned by historically disadvantaged people, i.e. the black majority. Well, let's
Only the black majority disadvantaged after 30 years. Like, can we just get to the point and say, like, stop calling yourself disadvantaged? How come how come they're the only ones getting 30%? What is the color getting? What is this mixed getting? What are the whites getting? What are the Indians getting? What are the Asians getting? Bruh, you can't like give 30% to them and then we sit here like, oh, nice.
explore this further then with advocates
You can't say you've been disadvantaged. You don't. There's no disadvantage. When you actually go open up a company, right? There's funding that's only for African-owned companies. If it's a white-owned company, or it's a black-owned, or it's a colored-owned company, or Asian-owned company, you gotta have all the paperwork behind your back if you want to get funding. And then there's other businesses that say they only fund black-owned businesses, which is bad.
When Tatisi Asare, a cyber law as well as public policy and internet governance expert. Good to have
Yeah, she really decided, like, she just thought, like, there's no way I can take this dreads off. I'm just going with it.
your time, advocate, and thank you for your patience this evening. Will this be an easy regulatory change or amendment to make?
So, I mean, that's a good question, but the question is, should we be making this regulatory amendment to begin with? When we look at the history of, the Starlink saga and the misinformation that came along with that, today is really a good opportunity to look at
What misinformation is she talking about?
why we actually do need ISPs and I suppose many other companies that are coming into the country to empower.
No, seriously, yeah, we actually do need more ISPs. We can't just, we can't just depend on Telcom, and we can't depend on the others, like there's MWeb, AfriHost as well. We can't just depend on them. I think we need some more. Can't depend on Vodacom. Talk about ISP, whoa. But yeah, like, dude, like when Starlink gets here, I'm taking my phone and I'm like, as soon as I see the satellites go across the sky, I'm connecting. That's what I'm doing.
The marginalized, whether it's previously or even currently, and to assess that and to ensure that whatever business opportunities come into the country are far-reaching and really impact everybody.
And this issue, of course, has already been flagged as one that would ultimately, at some point, lead to some level of litigation, a court battle, possibly. And I'm curious about what the law says regarding the weighing up.
Blah, 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 blah. Going.
In South Africa. Toby, thanks for your time. Just give us your reaction to announcement that Starlink may be on our shores sooner rather than later.
Ooh.
Well,
I'm an Elon Musk fan.
Firstly, hello. It's an interesting thing that I feel like I'm being squeezed in between Julius Malema speech in the Free State.
Might be a little strategic.
Johan Rupert called him the triple
You guys got a lot.
BEE ICT sector code.
Triple
that
B?
ICASA is being directed by the...
Look at how he looks at him. I was like, hey, Mr. President. And this guy's like, what the hell are you looking at me for? This guy, he's looking at him with like those eyes, like, you can see a lot of hate. I'm not really saying that there's hate. It just looks like it. He looks bewildered. This dude is like, another president in my pocket. And this guy is like, oh shit.
The code that ICASA is being directed by the political principle to look
I
at.
mean, come on, look, Cyril, just be like thankful. You might be the president of a country, like a lot of other presidents, okay? But you like talking to, you like taking a photo with Elon Musk. The dude is the president on his own. Literally, he's a president on his own. He just can't be president of the United States because he's born South African, okay? He could be our president in South Africa. Like, I would vote for him. Like, this dude will bring business to South Africa if he ever had to become president of South Africa. He'd bring business. I'd work for StarLink head office. Or SpaceX. SpaceX is in California. There's no way that they're gonna really be in South Africa. What's the point? But like other companies that I might start up, I'll definitely go work there.
This legislation for the broader tech industry, and instead of having to have ownership, they could do these equity equivalent investment programs.
I'm voting Elon Musk for president of South Africa because that dude will stabilize the economy and grow it.
As Malatsi called it in the government gazette notice on Friday. So basically, it's a bit of common sense is coming through. You have two very competitive parts of our economy and of very high very high cost industries in terms of telecoms and broadcast. And what's happened globally is that these big businesses are consolidating and competing increasingly against everyone. So, if you're competing against a telco, say Vodacom, they're actually owned by Vodafone, at one point the largest telecoms company in the world.
Yeah.
I think they're down the ladder a little bit. But, all of
That
a sudden,
doesn't matter.
it makes a big difference for a company like MultiChoice, which is, competing against Netflix and Amazon Prime.
MultiChoice is competing against Netflix and Amazon Prime. Why are you competing? Because do other people outside of the continent of Africa know what MultiChoice is? I mean, I get it. You're a streaming platform, and you're up against Amazon, HBO, Netflix. Dude, you're up against tough competitors. Because everybody doesn't talk about MultiChoice. They talk about when I hear MultiChoice, I think DSTV. When you hear Netflix, you be like streaming platform. When you hear Amazon Prime, you like channel where the Rings of Power gets played. HBO, the channel where most of the best series ever gets played. Game of Thrones, and then now you got House of the Dragon, and then it was also the Chernobyl series. I mean, HBO is they really hitting the mark on having some great series come out on their streaming platform.
It comes to its Showmax, Disney Plus, HBO, for it to partner with Canal Plus is a strategic advantage.
With what?
HBO, for it to partner with Canal Plus is a strategic advantage for an own-grown, self-made South African company like MultiChoice. I think it's a good move, and the same thing for bringing in an international service provider. No, big tech firm is going to sell 30% of their subsidiary to take on the South African market. In global terms, South Africa.
Elon Musk is definitely going to get more than 30%. Like, he's definitely going to get people in South Africa because, people in South Africa like, yo, Musk, South African, in the White House, respect. Okay? Represent.
It is tiny.
And dominate.
We're often a rounding error for these big companies. We think we're really important, and obviously we are. Don't question our exceptionalism. And I think part of the reason that Cyril Ramaphosa has suddenly got all of South Africa's backing is because if you're going to trash talk our country, that's our job. So we stand by.
That's like so shameful.
Behind him, it's our job. I often joke only Jews can tell Jewish jokes, or other Jews joke that. So it's been a good thing for us in terms of our country. I think this White House meeting. So Ramaphosa brought his bomb squad, and look at how
they blew up in his faces.
well they played. Mostly
So Toby,
that happened.
now, one of the things that there's obviously some reaction from local telecoms and tech players that you're going to speak to us about. But I'd also like to touch on something that Julius Malema spoke about in this address and copies minutes ago. And he talked about just how important it is for young people across the length and breadth of South Africa, in fact, in rural South Africa. And he says it's not a favor to them, but it's almost obligatory that there should be internet access in the most remote parts of the country. And StarLink will potentially be able to deliver that service.
Yes, Hugo, I don't know if you're asking me to agree with Julius Malema, but the point he made is the point that has been made by lots of people for a long time, and that if you want the youth of today to become the entrepreneurs of tomorrow, their internet experience should rather be about what can you do on the internet as opposed.
You can do anything on the internet. Trust me, I know. I know what you can do on the internet. I'm on it right now. Ask me. You don't need Starlink right now. You just need Wi-Fi. And you can find what you can do on there. Apparently, crypto kidnapping. This is 2 hours ago from Voidzilla. I actually like watching Voidzilla's videos. Haven't watched it for a while. But he's a really good investigative journalist. In his own right, of course. Not like so totally expert. He's just really good. He's got all this and I want to take a look. Like, this is crypto kidnapping.
We're talking about one of the craziest stories I've seen in my life.
Yeah.
Which is the developing story of a 28-year-old crypto investor who was tortured for weeks in a ritzy 8-bedroom townhouse by being electrocuted with wires, beaten with
a ritzy 8-bedroom, and he got tortured in it? Oh my.
The gun, and was forced to smoke drugs.
Damn, they really did bad on him.
All to extort cryptocurrency from him.
So why'd you make him high? Yeah, they're gonna make him dependent. They're gonna make him dependent on that cocaine. But you smoke it? I think smoking is probably a bad effect when you smoke cocaine. You're just supposed to snuff or something like that.
That's what.
Not like I know.
But supposedly the prosecutors and police say. Apparently he was also held out the window of like the 5th story. It's like back.
That sounds like a that sounds like a Death Records move.
Batman was interrogating him for his crypto. Now already, that sounds crazy enough. Netflix, HBO, all the docuseries guys are lining up to get a piece of this thing. But then it gets crazier because you go, well, that's just allegations, right? That's just allegations. Well, apparently, the police searched the townhouse and recovered a saw, cocaine, chicken wire, body armor, night vision goggles, ballistic helmets, and firearms and ammunition. And get this. They allegedly found Polaroid photos of the kidnapped man with a gun to his head and T-shirts printed with photos of the kidnapped man with a cocaine pipe in his mouth.
What?
Say goodbye to the monetization. Look, apparently the kidnappers left proof. I mean, it's like they didn't even want the police to rely on the word of the guy they went after. Apparently, they left all the evidence strewn around the house. This is like the easiest Sherlock Holmes game of your life. Now, I would argue that makes this more strange, not less. What kind of criminals are like taking photos as they're doing it? Maybe it's for some
guys that just wanted the money and the fun. That's basically what I think.
Extortion reason. They planned on kind of saying, you better not tell, or we're going to release these photos of the crimes we did. I don't know. But the story gets even crazier.
Yeah.
The perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator of this, was a guy named John Waltz. That's the main guy. But he also had a male accomplice who's a Swedish like crypto investor as well. Supposedly, the story is these guys were already rich. John Waltz they call him the Crypto King of Kentucky. I've never heard of the Crypto King of Kentucky, but okay, that's what we're calling him. And apparently, these guys were extorting this guy before he got to the townhouse. This is why the story got my attention so much. I wasn't going to cover it. I was thinking, wow, the news is going to, and they did do a great job with what the facts are of the case we know so far. But nobody's really analyzing what this means, what this implies, okay? The 28-year-old was supposedly first already extorted. They said they were going to kill his family. Then the way they got him to because you're wondering, how did he get to the townhouse to get kidnapped?
Yeah.
He went voluntarily to supposedly get his cryptocurrency back. Now, think about that. You just got extorted by a guy who says, I'm going to kill your family. Then, the story goes, they go, hey, if you want your money back, come to my 5-story house where I have a bunch of other people. Don't watch this story where you go like, that's odd. Okay, check this out. On the New York Times version of events, there are 2 butlers who were at the home and agreed to...
So you're telling me this guy got kidnapped, held by 2 or 3 other guys, and the butlers didn't do a thing? What? I think... Oh, wait. It's like a place where, like... It's a very affluent area where they were most likely were, right? So... I'm sure the butlers have seen these kind of things before. Not just with those guys, but with other guests as well. Like, I know these... these people always do that. It's just part of the job.
To be interviewed by the police. What were they doing this whole time? Were they just out of the house and they just came back to the house right after all this happened? There's 2 butlers? Were they like helping? Like, hey, sir, here's your wrench. Here's your saw. Here's your chicken wire. I mean, what were they doing? Okay, so weird. Okay, they're taking pictures. It doesn't make sense. Then you really have to think about the T-shirts, okay? Because we forgot about that. It's one thing to take Polaroid photos because I guess you want to humiliate this guy.
But where'd they get the time to print the T-shirts?
Whatever. We're gonna tell your family if you don't give us your Bitcoin. But you have T-shirts printed with the. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing. It's to me that. I mean, I guess they wouldn't make this up, but. Why? You know how long it takes to get a T-shirt made?
Like, I mean, you can just buy the shirt and then
3
print
weeks
it.
right there. They had to start that.
You can just buy a white T-shirt or a black T-shirt and just print the picture over it. It's actually pretty simple.
That process up, and it's almost like planting evidence against yourself. It doesn't make any sense. And what are they doing? Like, is that for like swag? Like to remember you by? Here's a little souvenir. Again, it's dark. I don't mean to make light of it. It's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And the guy has been in the hospital. So clearly there are serious, it's not just like a figment of his imagination. They really found, allegedly, some of these weapons and all this kind of stuff. But I'm just looking at the story going, how does this make sense? Now, what's weirder? John Waltz, the guy they actually caught, first of all, okay, I'm just going to say this guy, I don't know who took photos of him, but he looks like he's on a crime documentary. Just the way, you got to see this picture. You're thinking, don't be like that, Stephen. Look at these photos. I mean,
nah, he looked like
this guy, he did it. No, I'm joking. But look, what's weird about it is his family or relatives have since come out, according to the press, and said he was set up. There's no way he would do this, right? There's no way. Okay, of course, like anyone's going to say that. But what's weird is you look at his life, and it is a little strange. So he is, like I said, supposedly worth $100 million. But the only thing I can find online about him, and anyone can find online so far, has been that he was a security auditor for something called Grin, which is a privacy-focused crypto. Give you my Bitcoin, and again, this is according to the press, okay? But
man, I can't believe there's so many people scamming. But I'm actually like feeling super sleepy. So let me just go through this. Okay, so Kanye basically released a song. I'm sure viewers out there, you guys would have heard the song. Hail Hitler, that song. The anti-Semitic, and he's just calling himself all this stuff. We don't know what's going on with Kanye, obviously. I think all his family might know. But Kanye's going through a whole lot of stuff, and he's gone from somebody who was a super talented artist, still is, to somebody who got troubled, obviously because of his mom, then to somebody who was Christian and he started his own church. Then now he's like falling back after the divorce with Kim, and it seems like he's kind of like losing himself, especially because he was addicted to laughing gas and all that stuff. I think Bianca Censuri is like super beautiful and super hot, but I think he's trying to harden. Like I can see she like it's a product now for her. She's like a product. She's the sale point, and he's as well. And I think that he's gone off his rockers now because like he's saying anti-Semitic stuff like, and then you claimed, and then you claimed like years ago that you're Christian. Like there's something up. Man, Kanye West is going down a dark road, and it might be because of the people that surround him, and that maybe he might be on like more laughing gas, you know. The other thing is like a Tom Cruise movie came out. That was the final movie of Mission Impossible called The Final Reckoning, and you kind of have to wonder when is Tom Cruise actually going to slow down. It doesn't seem like he is because he's got like a few other movies left in the pipeline, and one is a movie that they are planning for a couple of scenes or a scene to film in outer space. Apparently, NASA and SpaceX is linked to this project as well. And if they get it right, he'll break a record because he'll be the first actor. They'll be like the first film that gets a scene that they filmed in outer space. They'll go down in history books. So yeah, I did a whole rant review of a lot of movies. The one is out right now on the channel is Lilo and Stitch. The one that is going to come out at 12 in a couple of like just like an half an hour from now is going to be the Final Reckoning rant review. I think it is one of my better work so far. Okay, the craft always gets better and better and better. And if you guys want to watch that, please go to my YouTube channel called The Real KMGH. Subscribe, comment, watch the content, and just enjoy. But apart from that, I'll catch you guys tomorrow night.